Welcome in, YouTubers. It's your buddy Choppadong. Today is a little bit more traditional version of NBA DFS Diary. What we're going to do is we're going to dive through the Fanduel player pool. A lot of you guys are checking us out for the first time. It is, after all, Freebie Friday. So I'm going to show you the links. I'm going to show you how you're going to navigate the site a little bit. I'm going to show you how to manipulate everything, but you have access to everything but the domination station today. But I'm going to show you that anyway, because honestly, Freebie Friday is probably going away for a couple of weeks, so you better jump in here today and become a VIP. And you do that by going down to the comment section, clicking dfsarmy.com, using the coupon code CHOP, and getting in here and unlocking the content, tools, and coaching that are putting Army hats on the tops of leaderboards every single freaking day. Those of you that are new, welcome aboard. Those of you that haven't seen me before, hit the like, hit the subscribe button down there at the bottom, ring that little notification bell, and let's get digging on today's slate. It's really, really simple. I can have this done for you in under 30 minutes. Everything all included. Follow me out on Twitter at Choppadong. Retweet my pinned tweet here for March sweeps. I will enter you in a sweepstake drawing, and I might compensate you for your March membership. So get in today. I may buy your March. Don't wait. I don't care if you're a member or not. I'm going to reimburse somebody. We go to the research station by going to dfsarmy.com. We click on the NBA tab, or we hover over, and then down here, research station, you're going to look at, there's a huge tutorial down there. You can see it right here in the bottom, but I'm going to click on Fanduel today and go directly there. You can do DraftKings if you want to. You see me, I alternate days, kind of do some DraftKings and some Fanduel back and forth. As the process loads up, and I'll make this a little bit bigger for everybody because that's a little bit too small. You can do everything in this tool. You can manipulate just the teams you want to look at, just the starting times for different slates, by position, whatever. What I tend to do, where I start building my player pool, very generic. I sort the and one column by descending order. What does that do for me? That gives me the best matchups possible. Okay, because the and one measures things like home road splits, historical averages. It averages some of the projections, some of the minutes, some of the recent runs, some of the field goals attempted, field goals made, all sorts of assists per game, all sorts of stuff, throws them all into a big pot of boiling water and spits out a number, a strength of matchup number, takes DVP into consideration, all that stuff. It's like 25 or 30 categories. I can't name them all. I don't know them. The guys won't share them with me, but they've assured me that it is massive in the scope that it pulls from, with different weights on different stats. And it's been a pretty good measuring stick. Anything over about the number of 10, if you're new, is pretty good, okay? Anything over 20 is great. A lot of this is also salary factored in. You know, you're going to be looking at we're going to do a little bit of value searching and a little bit of hot or not searching. I go by 3 categories. If you're a poker player, you'll understand this really, really well. When we're playing Texas Hold'em, we look for 3 typical starting hand requirements: high card strength, connectedness, suitedness. If I find all 3 of those in my hand, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay? So I'm looking for those 3 things in these 3 categories: the and one rating, the value rating, and then I will slide over here and the 3 to 10 game average of who's hot, who's running higher fantasy points over their 3-game average than they were over their last 10 games. I'm a baseline guy. I want a long, steady baseline that I can kind of determine, that's a little bit hard to move with outlier performances up or down. And then I'm going to take a shorter baseline and lay it over the top. Let me show you that really, really quick. I don't want to get too off the beaten track here tonight, but I'm treating a lot of you guys like you're brand new listening for the first time. So this longer baseline of a 10-game average is a little bit harder to move. In the 5-game or 3-game in the NBA case is up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It moves sharper based on hot streaks and cold streaks. So when the line crosses, the 3-game average goes above the 10-game average, I'm going to be buying that player. When it comes below it, I'm going to be selling that player, because pricing lags your results in a lot of cases. Role changes happen, injuries happen in NBA, new guys get slotted into higher spots in the rotation, or better spots, more advantageous spots for fantasy production, and we want to capitalize on that before the pricing catches up and makes him overpriced, or even makes him correctly priced. We're trying to buy on a bargain. We're trying to buy on sale. Why? Because that's going to allow me to effectively use a $70,000 or $80,000 cap as opposed to a $50,000 or $60,000 cap. And if I can get $70,000 or $80,000 worth of traditional production out of my players, my lineup, I'm going to whip your ass. When it comes to you only sticking with the 50, you overpaid for a couple guys, you can only get $50,000 out of your cap, I'm going to whip your ass. And that's the name of the game, is finding players that are on sale. So we start with the and one system. We click point guards. And we write down, say, the top 5, 6. What's today's slate? 8 games? So we're going to write down the top, say 5 or 6 guys. The orange guys here, purple. The orange guys here, the questionable guys, I'll skip over them. I may write them on my list, but I'm really going to be watching the news. And that gets you back to the articles and stuff. You need to be watching First Look, Donut Shop, Value Traps. You need to be watching all these articles. You have access to them all today through Freebie Friday. You have access to them all. You need to be watching them all. You need to come back later, go to the NBA coaching picks page. That starts to populate later in the day. And you're going to see my process is to establish a player pool now, which we'll do in about 10 minutes. And then we're going to use the optimizer to kind of tweak some guys, but we're really going to be waiting, taking a nice gap before we build lineups, waiting for news to matriculate and waiting for our coaches to start making bigger bona fide calls of who's a better value spot. That may adjust what I do later on. So I don't even mind making lineups right now for you guys because they aren't going to look anything like what I make at 5 p.m. tonight. They're just not. I'm not even giving anything away. Steph Curry, Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn, Ben Simmons, Eric Bledsoe. These are names you need to write down. Maybe Tegan Rose, probably Reggie Jackson, or Shabazz Napier, okay? See that? I took Reggie and Shabazz and almost called him Rezzy. That's what you need to be writing down. And then you need to come over here and you need to sort by value. And you need to look for duplicates on this list because a duplicate would be that second category. A one category guy is like, ace 8 offsuit. It's all right. It's got a little high card strength. Doesn't have any connectedness. Doesn't have any suitedness. It's a hand that can win you some money in the right spots. These are players that can win you some money in the right spots. But it's not all that strong. It's just kind of all right. You know what I mean? I want to see that second category come in because if I had ace king offsuit or, even jack 10 offsuit, now I've got something. I got a couple of cards of high strength value, and I've got a second category of connectedness. I can make some straights in poker, which is going to make my hand win a little bit more often. It's going to make my hand a little bit stronger. I'm still going to have, hands in poker flops that just destroy my hand. It comes out, 4, 5, 6. Well, my jack 10 is crap. That still happens. You can have a second category guy like a Shabazz Napier, a Chris Dunn, these types of guys that were also on that and one list. Colin Sexton, that are also hitting value at 4.9 and 4.8x, right? You can have some of those guys. They can still come off crappy. It happens. I mean, I'm going to sit here in my mind go, man, that's poker. Well, guess what? Man, that's DFS. It happens. Your job is to assemble this player pool and make it a steady, strong player pool. And then from there, you're going to always have duds in there. If you can effectively dodge those duds, and every night you might go on long winning streaks where you just can't get all of the duds out of your lineup. I mean, that's just like long streaks of poker where you flip up decent starting cards and you can't flop shit. It happens. It happens in DFS too. But generally speaking, you keep playing those scenarios. You keep playing that good, strong player pool. You're going to have more nights that are good than are bad at the end of the season. And that's all we're after. So these are kind of some of your value plays. I want to see guys that are over roughly 30 minutes, 28 to 30 minutes. I don't want this is very borderline with Shabazz. I would want to see him get some kind of news somewhere in the day telling me that his minutes are secure or possibly that his minutes are going to be in that 28, 29, 30, 32 range, something like that. That's going to help me out. 27 points is okay for the price, but it's not great. He's not some big value. 4.8x. I want to see 5, but look, there's not a 5 on the slate tonight at point guard. So what do? But these are the guys that I'd be writing down for value. If there's any overlap on the list that I already wrote down, I put a V next to their name, and then that shows me that they hit the and one list and they hit the V for the value list. I always write things down on a separate piece of paper. A lot of guys go to spreadsheets. Great. If you want to do that, go for it. I am a pen and paper, old fart kind of guy. It's just the way I am. Jalen Brunson's running hot right now. 8 points above. His 3-game average is 8 points above his 10-game average. You can see his 10-game average here at 16, his 3-game average at 24. 8 points. So he's running hot. Bledsoe, Harrison, Dennis Smith, Ryan Adedikadikio, right? Reggie Jackson, borderline on the list. Colin Sexton, borderline on the list. These are guys I'd be watching. They're close to the hot list. They got, 4-point bumps. That's fine. bringing value and good matchups tonight, they're probably pretty strong plays. Chris Dunn, probably a pretty strong play. Do you see how I'm finding that? Do you see how I'm using just these three categories? I can look over here at minutes watched and see that somebody's getting more minutes than usual. 31 games over 3 minutes, 30 in his last one. His minutes are probably secure. Jalen Brunson's running hot, so he's going to be on my list, right? I'm not writing this down with you separately today, so bear with me. Usually I'll write it down ahead of time or with you. I'm going to go back. I'm going to sort off by the and one again. And I'm going to look overall depth of the slate. Point guards, not great. And that stands to reason with not a lot of these guys hitting 5x value. Let's look at shooting guards, and then we'll start flying. Now that you've got the basics down, I don't look at Mickey Licky Licky Luck. What was that Christmas song? I'm looking because he doesn't have an and one rating. You know what I mean? Minimum, whatever, 2.8 value, 9 points, 17 minutes. No, ignore. He's at the top of the list because he doesn't have a rating, not because he's great. Bradley Beal, Wiggins, Russell, Klay Thompson, Booker, Levine, Drew Holiday. This is about where I would go. Maybe Doncic, Hield. Okay, these guys are getting close. They're above a 10. So if you want to make your list really, really big, go ahead and include them. If you want to make your list smaller, stick to these top 5 guys. All right? We'll look for a little bit of value here. There's a 6.1 in Dion Waiters. There's a 5, Luke Kennard. There's some turdy matchups down here with Trier, Dotson, whatever. These bear looking into because honestly, they ain't getting minutes, they ain't getting points, and they don't have an and one. So these are turd traps, most likely. These are guys that the machine is telling us is kind of leading us astray. I wouldn't be focused too much on them. I'd be looking more at these guys here that are also in the and one categories. 5 at D'Angelo Russell, 4.8 in Wiggins maybe, 4.9 in Doncic. These are the guys that I'd be putting my V's next to, and if they're on my and one list, I like them. Okay? And then I would do the same thing, go over the hot and cold list. I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be looking for, Booker, Levine, these types of guys. Roll down here, see if anybody's super hot. McRae, I'd be wondering why his minutes are up. I'd be looking at the news, following him. I'd be following Monte Morris. These could be drop score type candidates at these pricings over on FanDuel. And that's the other tip that people are starting to finally talk about is you need to have a couple of drop scores pitted against each other in your lineup tonight. And they can't be the turd traps. They have to be decent guys. They have to be somebody with some damned upside. Otherwise, it's an auto drop. You put 2 auto drops in your lineup, you can't cash. It's not going to happen for you. 2, maybe a third. I don't go all the way stars, stud, and scrub and put like 4 dudes in there so I can get 3 or 4 studs in my lineup. That hasn't worked out either. What I'm looking at is putting 2 guys in there that are fighting it out that have upside. One of them probably pans out, one of them doesn't. I drop the one that doesn't, and my one that panned out for $3,800 or whatever gets me, 25 points, golden. I keep that score. I drop the 12, golden. If everybody else just does what they're supposed to do, then I'm pretty golden. And I've done it cheap. I've had my drop scores fighting themselves out for about 7, 8, maybe 8,500 in total salary between the two of them. And then instead of doing that over, say, using 10,000 in salary between the two of them or 12,000 in salary between the two of them, I've got that extra $3,000 to $4,000 to buy up a stud or two and get up into the top range, and then really, once again, whip your ass. This isn't rocket science. Doesn't have to be. I will say this: the drop score has really, really randomized FanDuel NBA this year. It's been tough. So I'm not going to say I'm gonna whip the butt every night, but this is generally how you're going to get it done. Look at how shallow this position is at small forward. Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, alphabet, whatever. Josh Richardson, Trevor Ariza, Justice Winslow. These are starting to drop off and become kind of plays, right? Maybe a little bit of value here in a Justice Winslow, right? We're starting to get pretty weak in the N1 rating. When that happens, you're running into some positional scarcity, and I often tell people buy up. Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo are going to be probably pretty important tonight. You might need a value play in there, but you know what? If you wanted to go a little bit tourney style, since point guard kind of sucked, use a Sexton, somebody else on the cheaper end of things. Shooting guard was kind of, it wasn't great. You pay up double high at small forward, and you've probably done something that not a lot of other people are going to do tonight. Give yourself Durant and Antetokounmpo, and then play the value drop score in a couple of other spots. We'll take a look at center because that may dictate what we're doing tonight, as well as power forward. But these are your top 5. We're going to come over here. We'll look at the value again, 5.1, 5.3. That's good signs. Those guys are going to get the V. So I don't like the Kevin Durant matchup, the value there at all. That's terrible. 5.1 for Josh Richardson, probably important. I don't even like the value for Giannis tonight. Justice Winslow, these might be the 2 we end up going with. Got solid matchups compared to their peers, and they're hitting the value metric mark. 5.1 down here, Will Barton, probably a turd trap. 4.8, Dorian Finney-Smith, probably a turd trap. Also in bad matchups. Scroll over here really quick, look at who's hot. Not a lot. Mirotic, yeah, whatevs. Damari Carroll, maybe. We're going to investigate these. We're looking for guys that are hotter up here, and there really isn't too much to look at there. So probably not going to have a core play out of this group. Probably have Richardson and Winslow as your value plays. Durant and Antetokounmpo as just pure matchup or talent type plays. And I'm telling you, double high there is still viable in tournaments and things like that because it would separate your lineup. It's probably not the value underpriced way to go at all. Kick over to power forward and take a scan through this category really quick. Kevin Love with the question mark, of course. Anthony Davis, of course. Blake Griffin. I can't talk today. Mark Cannon, Randall. How good was he last game out? Randall, Draymond Green, Larry Nance. This is about where we'd go, right? And these are mid-range guys. Won't be a drop score candidate coming out of here, most likely. Unless you really like Sarek at 4.5x. Ugh. No thanks. Turn trap. Not a super deep position, but not real shallow either. You've got some room to play around here. Looking over at the value, 5.2 for Kevin Love if the Q tag is removed. Blake Griffin at 4.8. I'd rather stick for guys in the 5, so Bam maybe in play. Taj Gibson maybe in play. Hollis Jefferson maybe in play, but they've got lower matchup numbers. Rashawn Holmes maybe in play, but I want to see them get minutes, man. I got to see them get minutes. Otherwise, it's a no-go. Doesn't look like a lot of deep, smart value at the power forward spot tonight. Looks like you're just going to be paying in the mid-range. And this is another question that I get all the time is how do you start building your lineups? Do you build them with value? Do you build them with the studs? It varies from night to night. I'm looking right now for what am I seeing as the most important plays right now? And we'll go scan back through it here really quick since I'm not writing it down. Center is pretty deep. So center, there's a lot of options here. They're all looking like about similar value too. Lots of options here. Anyone. 5.2 for Ayton, 5.1 for Jarrett Allen. If you really, really want to go on the lower end of things price-wise, not that 7,300 is super low. 5.2, Robin Lopez on the Q tag. I'm not going down below any of these guys. So I'm really going to be stuck in here. It's going to be very, very modest value. I might be looking for the stronger matchups for somebody who can test his ceiling. I might scroll over, look at who's hot. There's the 7.7 for the Whiteside. Whiteside is obviously somebody that is a little bit more of a tourney play. Minutes are not always secure. A little bit of foul trouble, a little bit of mismatch plays on a crappy team too. But the matchup's fairly strong tonight. He can test his ceiling any given night. 4.25, Andre Drummond's running a little bit hot. What you're seeing when they run a little bit hot, when his average is 48 instead of 44, pricing maybe has not crept up. Let's look at Drummond again here really quick. Well, his pricing did creep up, so that blows. Pricing didn't change on Cousins. Dropped a little bit on some of these guys. It's creeping up on these guys, which negates a little bit of the hot because it's not necessarily making him underpriced. He may still be a little bit underpriced, but he's not carrying the value he carried, a slate or two ago when he had the performance he had a slate or two ago. So take that with a grain of salt. Looks like pricing's getting pretty tight. The other thing I would tell you about FanDuel right now, All-Star break's coming up in a week. We just had the trade deadline. New role changes, new roles are forming. You're gonna have to play light. I'd lean a little. There's not as much security on the slate, so I'd lean a little bit away from cash. I'd lean more towards GPPs and things. Get a little funky, take some shots, have some fun for a week. Play a little bit lighter with my bankroll than play in super, super heavy grinding style. That's just good common sense. And who says a degenerate can't have some common sense? You want to stick around long term and be a degenerate forever, you got to manage your money. So let's go back through here, point guards really quick. Let's see if we can't find, it looks like the value might come out of point guard. I mean, Curry can win you a GPP, that's great. But Sexton was pretty important. Dunn was fairly important. Bledsoe looked fairly important. Shabazz looked fairly important. So you could run Shabazz and Sexton down here low, and that would probably be an area you might go. Those look like some okay value plays early in the day, knowing things are going to change early in the day. Looking down here, lots of shooting guard matchups. I don't really see any super cheap guys in here. Ringing the value meter, maybe. Waiters, if he draws a start, 29 minutes, 6.1, might be one of your key spots tonight. So if you're going to plug in value first, which I like to do because I like to control my average salary remaining so that when I get to the end of my player build, my lineup build, I'm picking from studs, not duds. I can't stand it when people come to me and say, hey, how's my lineup look? And I'm like, hey, what's that guy doing in there? Well, he fit late. He fit in at the end. Man, that's why you lost. You lost because you're not building your lineup right. You've got to control your average salary remaining all the way through your process. You start off by maybe locking in a stud that you really like Giannis tonight. Lock him in. Then you pick, I like Andre Drummond. Lock him in. Well, guess what? Your average salary remaining just went to shit. So what do? You take that third, fourth, fifth pick and you start going, you should already know where the value is. Sexton, the guys we talked about, Waiters, possibly, whatever. You should already know where the value is on the slate by looking at it this way, by looking at this process. You should already have a feel for where I might need to reach for some value here. I might need to reach for some value there. Boom, go get it. Put it in. You can always come back and upgrade it later. But lock it in now. Get that average salary remaining back up above $5,000, $6,000 or so per player. And now you got a little bit of breathing room. Don't get to where you've got 7 guys that you really, really like in your lineup, and now you're married to them mentally, and you can't get off of them, and now you got 2 spots and like 3,700 per player left. That is the fastest way to Plaxico your shit in the foot. You'll Plaxico yourself hard if you do it that way. And you're dead money. You're out there just giving money to the pros. Your better method is going to be to maybe start with a couple players, maybe start with your value, whichever one you want to do, but always be watching that average salary remaining. Maybe someday I'll do a little video, show you how to do that. We're getting up on 22 minutes. You've seen a little bit of the player pool, hopefully. You've seen an idea of how to sift through it and pick it for yourself. Let's dive into Domination Station and show you this tool real quick. Let's run over to Fanduel since that's what we were doing. DraftKings, guys, the process is the exact same. Your player pool is going to be bigger because of all the overlap and the multi-position eligibility. Like a CJ McCollum is a point guard and a shooting guard. He's going to be on both lists most of the time. That's fine. So take the top 7 or 8 instead of the top 5. On FanDuel, you can be a little bit more finite. All right, so there's our games. That's what we're looking at. First thing I'm going to do, if I am brand spanking new, is I'm going to run, say, 5 lineups, 3 uniques. Optimal mode is fine. Tournament mode is fine. Whatever. I'm going to just optimize it straight out of the gate. Haven't touched a damn thing yet. And I want an idea. It says 305 is the target score, and these are roughly the guys that it likes. And it really likes Blake Griffin tonight. It really likes Ayton. It really likes Josh Richardson, who we already kind of identified. Waiters, who we already identified. D'Angelo Russell, it likes. Justice Winslow, we already identified. Loves these guys, right? This is your core. You want to make your core even stronger here, come out here to, like, say, 5 unique players. Force 5 different guys into each lineup. Now you're going to find out who Domination Station really likes. Really and truly, it's just the highest value guy. But 100% Dion Waiters, 80% Winslow, it's still going to like it some Blake Griffin. And there's some Chris Dunn. Now, I wouldn't run my lineups that way. That's just how I'm going to find out who Domination Station is going to be forcing into most of my lineups. I try to stick to 5 and 3. Maybe I'll get out to 10 lineups if I want to run 3 or 4 lineups tonight. I always build more than I want. Because let's say I want to run 5 lineups tonight. I'll build 10. I want to eventually be making the decisions at the end. I don't want the machine forcing lineups on me. I want the right to choose. So I'm going to say 5 and 3 if I want to run like 3 lineups tonight. I'm going to come down here. I can sort by value if I want, or I can just start scanning down the list. Anthony Davis was a little bit questionable. His value, sorry my things are not exactly lined up. This is the value column. Value of 4.2. Value on Giannis wasn't great. If I really like Giannis, I'm going to bring him up to about 5x. Sometimes I go to 5.2, whatever. I'm trying to put everyone around 5x today. Embiid matchup's a little bit low. It looks like Karl-Anthony Towns. I want to bring him up to 5x. Why? Now the DS is evaluating him the same as Giannis. These are the guys I like in my player pool. Jokic, okay, I can leave him about there. Doncic is okay. If I wanted, now one thing, if I go 5% boost on Doncic, he's going to go over my number of 5x. So I got to back him down, and I can do that manually by just putting that at like a 51. Now he's at 5.1, 5.07. It's all about the same. Drummond's been hot lately. I like Drummond tonight. So I'm going to get him up above a little bit. So I'll probably put him at 51 also. Try and keep him at around 5x. Kevin Durant, it did not like. That stinks because he would be somebody I would just have to manually lock him in. Bradley Beal, we know without John Wall, he's been okay. It's up to you if you want to use him. He was on the and one matchups. He just, for whatever reasons, priced up. I know why he's priced up, but he's not drawing great value out of the machine. Drew Holiday, same bit with Anthony Davis back, might help his game. I don't know. You may know the league a little bit better than I do. This is just how I'm going through here, and I'm looking at some of these guys too. I know that it loves Blake Griffin, right? If I don't like Blake Griffin as much, I may pump him down a little bit. As is, I'm going to just leave him in there. 4.8 seem to be pulling him. D'Angelo Russell, should like D'Angelo. That's about 5x, right? Booker, Randall, Butler, Markkanen. If I really like me some Markkanen tonight, I may have to jack him up a little bit. Whiteside. We know we liked some Whiteside potentially. So put him at 5x, and now it's going to evaluate him the exact same way it evaluates Karl-Anthony Towns. And being that he's a little bit cheaper, it may pull him in a little bit more. We can adjust for that later. We're just going to walk the list. Levine doesn't like Levine, but if I do, I'm going to put him in there. Bledsoe, put him in there. This is just what I'm doing. And these, like I said, are going to end up being very, very interesting. Now, say I don't like DeAndre Ayton as much as Domination Station did. I'm going to bring him down. You know, if I trust Domination Station, I might only bring him down 5% and put him at the 5 number, right? And if it still likes him, I can go pull him out more. But I have a feeling it's going to want to put him in there a lot still. I'm going to pull him out and see what I get otherwise. Chris Dunn at 4.8. Let's bring him up a smidge. Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, Otto Porter, Satoransky, Reggie Jackson, not too great. Bagley, Oubre. I'm going to miss a few. Josh Richardson, we know it likes. Keep him at that 5x. Dennis Smith, maybe in a good spot, but let's bump him down just for shits and giggles. Buddy Hield's another one. His matchup's terrible. I would trust the machine here at 4.19. Bobby Portis. Say we like him tonight. Monte Morris we don't like. Dwayne Wade. Brogdon, Ariza, Mirotic, Dwight Powell, Jared Allen. Jared Allen, if you don't like him, get rid of him. Wiggins was interesting. Wiggins hit the list. So we'll give him some. Now, Wiggins is not your typical cash type player. He's a little bit up and down. Jeff Green, Jordan Clarkson, Justice Winslow at Love. We'll leave him on there. Actually, if I want to not have him in everything, I'll bring him down to the 5x number, and it'll mix him out some. Shabazz Napier, we'll bring him up. We liked him. Jeff Teague, Bogdanovich, Millsap, Carroll, Barnes. Derrick Rose is on the queue. Harris, Bayless, Kleber, Zissig, Barton. Barton's interesting. I'm going to touch him down a little bit. Kevin Love. I'm going to bring him down a little bit. He's on the queue, man. I want to see the news. I can always come back and add him in later. Knox, Finney-Smith. Kennard's okay. Drop score candidate. Possibly. 4,800 is a little expensive for a drop score candidate. Robin Lopez. Get him out of there for me. This is just my personal preference right now. Hollis Jefferson's okay. Deion Waiters it loves, but I can also bring him down a little bit. He's still going to pull in everywhere. Bring him down a lot. He's still going to pull in everywhere at 5.2, being he's a 4,300, but this is at least a little bit more reasonable. I'm just balancing out my play. Really all I'm doing. Trier, it probably will like Trier. Trier might end up being my drop score candidate with him. Dotson as well. But these guys are kind of turd trappish, as we mentioned. So you know what? Let's just kill them. You can also just uncheck them. Unchecking the box works well too. But this is just a way to kind of sift through and figure stuff out. Holmes, I don't want you in everything. So I'm just kind of scrolling the list. Now that I'm done, I'm going to go back up here. I've adjusted quite a bit. I've still got the machine running 5 lineups, 3 uniques. Kick it over into tournament mode if you want. Mix them up. Even tournament mode, it doesn't go strictly by projections. It goes by a little bit more of a randomized projection metric. So that's another way you can put a little bit more balance into your lineup. Dunn, Bledsoe, Waiters, Doncic, Justice Winslow, Josh Richardson. Bam, there's 3 Miami guys, 4 Miami guys. I'm going to go back. One thing I can do, come back here to the stacking rule, team stacking. At most, 2 players from any team. Where's Miami? Oops. Add the rule. Rerun it. Kick them little bastards right on out of there. They may be bringing a ton of value. Maybe you like 3. I don't like 4. I can tell you that. Now it shifted it up a little bit. 1 Miami. 2 Miami. That's it. Dunn, Bledsoe, Waiters, Doncic, Harris, Winslow, Taj. Okay, it's all right. This is going to require some tweaking through the day. But you've got Doncic and Bledsoe everywhere. You've got a lot of Chris Dunn, some Jay Rich, some Dion Waiters. If I wanted more Waiters, I could pump him up. If I wanted more Drummond, I could pump him up. Drummond's in 3 of these lineups, and it's the last 3. It takes Karl Anthony Towns over him for that. So if I wanted a little bit more Drummond, I'd come back up here. I'd find Drummond. I'd give him that little bit of a boost. I need to get him to 10% so that he's a little over the 5.1, and I rerun it. And he might show up in 3, or 4 lineups tonight instead of the 3. Drummond, 4 lineups. See how I gave him a little bit of a boost, and it put him in the top scores. This is not the optimal lineup you hear people talk about. This is my optimal lineup because I tweaked the projections, and it still likes Karl Anthony Towns. If I wanted to, now I'm using Towns as an example. But I take that to 57, bump it just a touch more to the 5.09, run it again, and I bet you I get Karl Anthony Towns in 2 of my lineups. And see how he's not on the bottom in 1 anymore? It doesn't go Drummond, 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 Towns. It mixes them in. I try to get my players mixing in more randomly by tweaking those projections around a little bit because now I feel like I'm getting a better spin on the numbers. Now remember, I've juiced and jacked a lot of these projections around, still projecting me at 305 points. But by the DFS Army raw projections, it's a 294, 296, 299, 300. So really and truly by the raw projections, it likes this lineup better. I've made it a 3.0 or 304 based on what I did. The raw projections pretty much agree with me. That's how I use these numbers. I get asked that question a lot too. That's how I use these numbers. Okay? I use these numbers in kind of telling the story of how much I've fucked shit up, That's how much have I really jacked stuff up. That's all I'm really looking at it for. I want to see that mine is not way out of line with this. 10 points isn't bad, but I would be going down these lineups. Let's say I like this lineup here and I like this lineup down here. Then I might, oh man, which one am I going to play tonight? I don't know. I need to make a decision. I need to break a tie. I'm looking for the player mix first of all. Shabazz, Bledsoe, Dunn, Bledsoe, Waiters, Doncic, so that's the same. Harris, Richardson, Barton, Richardson, roughly the same. I may not like Barton tonight. I tried taking him out of the domination station before. So I may not like this lineup that much. Holmes, Portis, Holmes, Taj, Drummond, Towns. So, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit the same. So they're not that far off. They're going to perform hopefully somewhat similarly. But I'm looking at this. I may say, well, the Army projections think this is the stronger lineup, so I may opt for that one over this one. Or I may say that DS doesn't know what the hell it's talking about, and I opt for this one. Odds are I take 2 or 3 of these lineups and go throw them out there in a couple of different leagues, a couple of different tournaments, because the way I like to play, I like to have 1 or 2 things working every night. I know I'm going to get some duds. I try to dodge those duds by taking multiple shots so that I get some things. But that leads more into contest selection, and that leads more into bankroll management and ladder strategy, and that's all stuff for the VIPs inside the coaching forum. So if you want more of that, you need to become a member today. Capitalize on Freebie Friday by all means, but jump in today, unlock everything going forward for the weekend. Let's talk. Let's talk strategy. Let's talk making you a little bit better player, constructing your lineups a little bit better, focusing on a couple of things that people don't write articles about. You get that information inside DFSArmy.com. You click in the comments section, click the link, use the code CHOP, CHOP, get your butts in here today. and unlock all this stuff going forward for a month. I guarantee in a month I can have you being a little bit better player. I can have you thinking a little bit more fundamentally sound, a little bit more disciplined than maybe you already are. Maybe you're attacking GPPs and doing it wrong. I've got a guy right now saying the ladder isn't working for me. I said, well, try this. And we went MME on a couple of leagues and things. And he goes, ooh, I kind of like that. Well, fine, do that. There's a million ways to skin a cat. And I got opinions like proctologists have assholes. So however you want to make this thing work, dive in here today. Hit me up inside Slack. Hit me up out on Twitter. Let's talk. If you've got questions, get your questions answered. I'm as transparent as they come. All right, I'm going to come back a little bit later today with a little bit of an NHL thing because I'm running a little experiment out there. If you want to follow along, that's great. Had good results last night. I think we learned a lot. That would be the next thing to do. But first, become a member at DFSArmy.com. Use coupon code CHOP. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I will see you this weekend. Take care, guys.